Have you ever wondered why your Higgsfield clips still look like AI when people make cinematic films with the same tool?
Mayday! 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 Kilo 47, the engine is out and I am picking up heavy ice. 20 miles north of the strip, descending through 4,000. I cannot hold her.
And it's not your lack of skill in using it, but specific way real filmmakers write their prompts. In this video, I'll show you the exact method they use. So by the end, you can prompt Higgsfield the same way and get results that look just as good. But the one thing real filmmakers really focus on is never letting the character's face change between shots, and that's what we do first. And I'm not guessing here because it's how real directors are using Higgsfield right now. Take Ettore Giudicelli, who directed a whole sci-fi pilot called Arena Zero on Higgsfield with a team of 4 that ran over 5,000 generations, keeping every character hyper-realistic from start to finish. That's the kind of consistency we're aiming for. So I go into Cinema Studio 3.5, switch to image, set it to auto, and upload this multi-angle face reference sheet of myself. Then I'll paste in the first frame prompt, where I'll describe who the character is and the shot I want. A young bush pilot in a flight helmet, sitting in the cramped cockpit of a small plane with frost on the windows, staring ahead and stressed. I generate it, and that gives me one clean frame of him in the cockpit. This is how every generation starts from now on. I set that frame as the first frame each time, so the model always knows what he looks like. The reason this works is that the model isn't imagining the character from scratch each time, it's continuing from a real image you gave it. So it has real foundation to hold on to instead of a guess. And it's not only for faces. The same move locks a product, a car, or a specific room. Anything you need to show from more than one angle, without it turning into a slightly different thing each time. So my character is ready before I've written a single line of video direction, and his face is gonna look the same on every shot. But honestly, a strong first frame is not what makes the footage look real enough. And the first prompt I used already proved it. The first thing I do is write a basic prompt. Just what happens, plus the line he says, and nothing else. So, for this generation, we are going to switch things up. I'll switch to video, click Cinema Studio 3.5, and set this ready frame of me as the first one so I can carry it straight over. I leave the genre set to drama, set the duration to 12 seconds, keep the resolution at 1080p in a 16:9 aspect ratio, and make sure audio is turned on. Then I paste in the bear prompt. He's in the cockpit of a small bush plane in a snowstorm. The plane is losing altitude, and he screams into the radio for a mayday call. That's all we give it. No direction on how he says the line, where the camera goes, or what style to use. So I click generate, and here's what we got.
Mayday, 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 Kilo 47, the engine is out and I am picking up heavy ice 20 miles north of the strip, descending through 4,000. I cannot.
The whole video overall looks pretty decent, but on the delivery side, it's completely flat. I sound calm, almost bored, when a real pilot would be terrified. If you pile every instruction in at once and it comes out wrong, you have no idea which part broke it. Starting from nothing and adding one change at a time lets you see what each one does on its own. So this isn't me being slow, it's the only way to know which words are doing the work and which ones the model just ignores. So that's what we need to fix now. And it's actually not that hard because it takes exactly one sentence. Here's the part most people get backwards. Most people start by directing the physical moves. He takes the yoke, then looks at the shield, then turns on the microphone, and the model either ignores half of it or just pretends as if it doesn't see it. Instead of the choreography, you direct the emotion and how the line is delivered. I use the same prompt as before, but this time I add one line of direction. He's terrified and fighting to stay calm, his voice tight and breaking, barely catching his breath between lines. I generate again with the same first frame, and everything else stays the same.
Mayday, 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 Kilo 47, the engine is out and I am picking up heavy ice 20 miles north of the strip, descending through 4,000. I cannot hold her.
Now it finally looks like he's scared and you believe he's going down. That one line of direction is what turns it into a real performance. Now we've got the emotion and rhythm Ettore talked about, but the problem is the camera that is still doing whatever it wants, and honestly, that's the single hardest thing to control here. This is the part that decides whether the final video looks random or directed. And there are two ways people get this wrong. Either they say nothing about the camera and let the model frame it at random, which is what we just saw, or they overdo it and write out every detail second by second. When you name per second details, the model starts adding its own cuts in random places, which we don't want. But the actual filmmakers mostly focus on shots. You focus on 3 things: where the camera is, how it moves, and where it cuts. And Ettore actually mentioned this by marking down how important the actual visuals are, because it tells the viewer where to look. In the same prompt, I added 2-shot sequence that cuts exactly once. Shot 1 opens close on his face and pushes in slowly as he makes the call, with the camera at eye level, just off the instrument panel. And the second one cuts to a tight cockpit side angle from beside the controls, looking across at him as he finishes.
Mayday, mayday, mayday! Kilo 47, the engine is out and I am picking up heavy ice. 20 miles north of the strip, descending through 4,000. I cannot hold her!
And now it feels much more directed, and it cuts exactly where it should. The one thing I don't love is that the second angle has no first frame of its own, so it's the least anchored part of the video and usually takes the most tries. If it won't stay consistent, you can generate a cockpit side first frame for it too. But luckily, Higgsfield also has a camera movement setting you can use on the actual prompt. But the model is still making a lot of choices on its own, and there's only one way to tighten that up, which is to start telling the model what it's not allowed to do. Because so far, every line in the prompt has been about what I want to happen. But the negative prompt is the opposite. It's a list of what should never show up, like the usual AI defects like extra fingers, weird looking faces, or random subtitles. Most filmmakers also add scene-specific negatives, the things that keep breaking a shot. For this one, I'll do no music, no daylight outside the windows, and don't duplicate the labels on the instrument panel. Then I add a style prefix, which sets the film look, the lens, the lighting, the color, and most importantly, a hard no music rule for the audio. Now the whole thing should look hyper-realistic, the same way Aitore's pilot did. Then I write out the full prompt, and now every single lever is finally in one prompt. But Aitore still has one final warning before generating. You should never go with a normal prompt, because right now it's just one massive block of text. Any change would force us to rewrite the whole thing. So let's solve that one last step before we generate. The goal now is to turn all that text into something the model can read without losing context halfway through. I use a free tool called videoprompt.studio for this. It has a character limit, so instead of pasting the full prompt, I trim it down to the core of the scene first, give it the most important context, and let it process. Then I set it to Seedance, which I think is the best model for this, because it's built for film and handles camera angles, fine detail, and cinematic shots better than anything else. The reason that choice matters is that most video models are built to do a bit of everything, so they lean toward the fast, busy motion and quick cuts you see in short social clips, which is the opposite of what you want here. A model built for film leans the other way, towards slower, motivated moves and longer takes that hold on a moment. So before you write a single line of the prompt, the model is already pointed at the look you're going for, and you spend your effort shaping the shot you want instead of fighting it out of a music video look. It turns that into structured JSON, where every part gets its own labeled field instead of being put in one paragraph. Since I trimmed the prompt down earlier, I add the parts I cut back into the JSON.
Mayday, mayday, mayday! Kilo 47, the engine is out and I am picking up heavy ice. 20 miles north of the strip, descending through 4,000. I cannot hold her.
And this is basically the finished video. So now there's no music and glitches, and the whole video looks like it came out of an actual film. But the difference is bigger than it sounds. When everything was one long paragraph, the model couldn't hold on to every detail. As JSON, every instruction is its own labeled field. So the model follows each one, and the results come out much cleaner the first time. On top of that, you can change one field, such as the lighting or the cut, without affecting the performance. For the next shot, you keep the style and the negatives and only change the subject and the action. That's exactly how a 4-person team like Aitore's runs 5,000 generations without breaking the character's consistency. So that's basically the whole method. You add the levers one at a time, then structure them, and you can prompt Higgsfield the way a real filmmaker does. Of course, real filmmakers use this across an entire film, not just one shot. So sign up to Higgsfield with my link in the description and build your first shot off a single first frame the same way we did here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.